Good evening. It's now 5:30 p.m., Monday, September 9th, 2019, and I'm calling this meeting of the City Council of Paris to order. The invocation will be by Mr. Anderson, I guess, and Ms. Portugal will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone stand, please.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we're thankful as always for every blessing that you give us. Father, we thank you for your patience with us, and we just pray for your guidance and understanding as we conduct the business of the city. We thank you for all that you do, and we thank you, Father, for letting us live here in this great nation. And we just thank you, Father, for all the things that you do, Father, even sometimes that we take them for granted, but we know that every good and perfect gift comes from you. We do pray and ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brings us to the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. Anyone wishing to address the council, please step up, give us your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes. Hi. Hello.
My name is Dina Nicholson. I reside at 6940 Pine Mill Road, Paris, Texas, 75460, and I came to the council meeting today to discuss item number 10. It's regarding a crime-free zone for Paris, Texas. To give you quite a summary, I know y'all been busy, but the crime-free zone is a nationwide program that we've given you that has been successful nationwide. Basically, it doesn't violate anybody's privacy. However, if somebody is living in a multi-housing development, whether it's an extended stay or perhaps a government project or something of that nature, someone that is living in that facility, if they violate the law off premises or on premises, the police department then notifies the property manager or owners, and at that time, then they are asked to leave that facility. Therefore, it's creating a safe environment for all those that are living in those communities. I do have a letter. Of course, you know that I did present to you petitions with other property owners and managers. And so basically what I'd like to say on behalf of my peers, I'd like to thank you for adding this crime-free ordinance to the table for discussion. From a business perspective, many of our employees, customers, and owners do not feel safe. There are many issues with extended stays and multi-housing crimes. Shootings, drug uses, selling drugs, and domestic disputes seem to be more common. Controlled substance is on the rise and actually out of control. And also, I had a tooth pulled, so my mouth is kind of numb, so that's why I'm kind of slurring. The ordinance that was issued to this council was a sample to help address what we have been seeing in the consumer world. It's not a cookie cutter that we're expecting. However, I think doing nothing and saying that we can't is not an option anymore. It's getting out of control, and this has been way too successful to turn our backs and say that it's just too hard. First of all, extended stays are becoming somewhat of a safe haven for crime. What I mean by this is proper identifications or credit cards is not even required anymore. All that is necessary is cash. So if you don't have a job and you're wanting to sell weed or drugs or something of that nature, just give them your money and there's no questions and no identification ever needed. Many for the extended stays can stay for a allotted amount of times, and according to regulatory services, unless they qualify under this ordinance, under certain circumstances, extended stays are basically inhumane for long-term living due to these facilities not having full kitchens. While receiving signatures from business owners and managers around these extended stays, this is what they have told me. Police have apprehended residents in their alleys behind their businesses. Owners have come to work with residents on their property having convulsions, throwing up, with people with them refusing to contact personnel. Employees and owners have walked over residents to actually enter into their place of business as they are incoherent and out of themselves. At the establishment in which I am a frequent complainer, recently my staff called the police after a couple had a loud argument outside my business doors. A woman demanded her money or her child back. Seriously. And the police were called for that. Time before this was a near miss of one of my employees getting rushed into the building.
I'm going to have to cut you off, but I will bring you back up. I'll let you go well over 2 minutes, but
Okay.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I will welcome your comments and when we come to that item. It's not a public discussion, but I'll be happy to open it up at that time. So keep your place, and after our discussion, you may have we'll invite your comments on this as well. Anyone else want to address the council? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And brings us to consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda? There's not much this week that anybody wants to pull off and discuss. I need a motion for acceptance.
I move.
Okay, and a second. All in favor? Good. Item number 7, once again, this is one that requires a supermajority, and we've kind of set a precedent that if it requires a supermajority, we're not going to vote on it until we have all 7 council members here, because according to the interpretation, whether you're here or not, if you're not here, it counts as a no vote, and that's just not fair. So we're going to, once again, table this, or what is it? We're going to hold the second hearing. I'm sorry, get it back here. I'll get the wording right here. We're going to we're going to hold the public hearing open to a date certain. Okay, so I guess I need to open the public hearing then?
I don't believe you closed it before.
I thought being a new item, we might have to do it.
It is a new item, okay, if you will open that and then not take any testimony.
Okay,
and
I'll open the
postpone it
public
to
hearing
next
right
meeting.
here, and assuming council is agreeable, we will postpone this until a future meeting when we have all 7 council members here. Item number 8, conduct the second public hearing on the city's proposed tax rate for 2019-2020, discuss and provide direction to staff. Gene, you got some words for us?
As we discussed at the last meeting, we're required to have 2 public hearings on the tax rate, and this will be the second one, so anybody who wishes to comment on that, this is their opportunity to do so before, at a later meeting, the council will actually adopt the rate at a later meeting.
Okay. Any discussion on this at all, or just doing this as a formality? I guess we'll have a discussion on the actual changes to the budget at the future meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've been working on the concept that y'all presented to me last week to follow, and I will be able to do that and hope to have that ready for the next meeting.
Will we get that preliminary of that? Another nice folder?
I'm going to attempt to do that. That's
okay.
the long. It's going to take longer to do that, and it took me to actually go through and come up with the numbers.
Okay. Okay, now, item number, I have to have the public hearing, that's right. Let's open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and discuss the proposed tax rate for 2019-2020 or give your input, you're welcome to come up now. It's open. And seeing no one, I will now close the public hearing, and that does dispense with number 8. Number 9, receive an annual update on the Grand Theater project.
Good afternoon. My name is Julia Trigg Crawford. I've been here before you guys. It was a year ago that we came and you gave us unanimous approval to become your renter and you our landlord. So I wanted to bring you up to date on what we've done this past year. One of the first things you do when you create an organization that brings about change is you get a great team together. And we were able to put together an amazing board. So I think maybe 2 of them are here today, but I just want to kind of run down the caliber of board members we have. They each have passion for the Grand and unique abilities that will help us create, increase visibility and raise some money. James Wyatt, president of First Street Media. Chad Lindsay, who is one of the operations managers at First Street Media. John Bratcher, the owner of 107 Restaurant. Michael Plata of Serve Pro Paris. Lee Jane Walker, executive director of Young Life. Dustin Broadway, we all call him Broadway with his design services. Carla Easton, who y'all know well. Melissa Steinkamp Gordon at HWH, Wyatt Bowden with Full Blast Productions, and then Sue Hodges, who's not officially on the board, but as the very first Main Street coordinator in Paris, she has amazing historical perspective. So we've got a team that has energy, enthusiasm, and creativity. So you take that team, and then you go to increasing the visibility of your project. So we are trying to be everywhere there's a discussion about downtown Paris. We have been involved, there was a first fundraiser officially in April. I know some of y'all came and some of y'all were amazing participants in that. There's another one coming up, so those who didn't make the first one can make the next one. We launched our RestoreTheGrand.com website. We have a very robust Facebook page, the Grand Theater Project, so we're staying up on the social media side. We made sure that pictures representing the Grand in her heyday were part of the State Texas Historical Commission quarterly meeting that was here. Our marquee above the theater, or the signage, is going to start being a little bit more not interactive, but it's going to be more changing and bringing all kinds of things. We want to support downtown. Even if it's not something we're in, we're going to support Wine Fest. We're going to support all the things. We might also have the ability to start letting people propose to their girlfriends or boyfriends, or thank our sponsors, or maybe a bridal portrait underneath. So we're getting real creative with that. So if you have some things that are going on, you want to make sure that you have that kind of visibility, let us know. We were also the only free venue for NetFest last weekend. So underneath the canopy with the lights, we had our backdrop, we had musicians, and then we opened the front doors for a peek. We had ropes across it. No one could go in, but you would not believe the people that just wanted to look into what is really just that long walkway. So we're creating some excitement. We were also at Paris Fest last weekend. I know Mayor Pro Tem Portugal was there. I saw her. That was really a place that celebrated all things Paris, whether you made something or provided a service or were a not-for-profit. So we just gave away free popcorn and bottles of water and had pictures of the Grand, and you would not believe the stories we heard of first dates and last movies. We had people drop money in a box just unsolicited, and even people who have artisan skills, like a guy who's a master craftsman with woodwork and balustrade said, "I'll come swing a hammer for you." We had people stepping up saying, "What can I do?" That's the kind of visibility and excitement we're trying to build. If y'all like to play golf in the dark, the Grand Theater is hosting the Glow Golf on October the 5th. We're sold out for teams, but we're still looking for sponsors, but that keeps us in the know. And the last thing we currently have on our agenda is on October the 17th, we're having another by invitation only fundraiser. I'll make sure all of y'all get tickets, and we'd love to see you there. So we've got the team, we're increasing our visibility, and now it's just the money. So we are looking at every way that we can bring money in, whether it's big federal grants that we're applying for when you swing for the fences, or small local facade grants. So we're looking for those kinds of things, and we're making some headway. Our biggest challenge is going to be the asbestos abatement inside. So we're looking at pretty big bucks on that. But we're starting to identify some smaller incremental projects we can do. Parts of the Grand are accessible and with a little bit of shoring up of some things available. So we might start looking at having very small events in that first alley, that first hallway where you walk up there. So we're creating some interest, we're creating enthusiasm, and once you get that personal connection, those dollars will come. So that's where we're at. We're raising a little bit of money, but we're really raising the enthusiasm. So we appreciate y'all's support. You gave us a unanimous vote last year to go ahead. I hope we're making you proud. We want to involve you, and we look forward to being here next year at the same point and have some more success stories to tell. So do y'all have any questions? None?
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. I just have something really short I want to read on this topic to everyone. This was in yesterday's Dallas Morning News. It's the Three Cheers section written by Ronnie Nutt from Paris, Texas. Recently, I've attended 2 events at the Texan Theater in Greenville and was so impressed with this current event center. First-class owner, staff, food, service, and entertainment. To have an unlimited 4-course meal and drinks of any kind is unheard of in this day and time. I've been to entertainment venues all over the country and found none better than this one. The Texan Theater reminds you of stepping into one of the famous Las Vegas theaters years ago. The sound, lighting, and seating structures are just awesome. If you live near Greenville and have not been there, get a schedule of events and verify for yourself. Ronnie's going to have to be writing this about Paris
I hope we have
really
that same kind of
soon.
article written about us eventually. Also, want to let you guys know you are the proud owners of some very valuable little stickers in the envelopes you got. That is a limited edition Grand Theater sticker. I have mine on my phone. You're welcome to put yours wherever you want. But we appreciate your support, and we actually have our rent check to give you guys. So we need so may I take our rent check over to the city
Sure.
clerk? Okay.
Go right ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Thank
all the
you.
work you've done. We look forward to hearing from you in the future. Okay, next item, what we were talking about at the Citizens Forum is discuss and provide direction on a request for creation of a safe zone at local hotel and apartment housing in the city of Paris. We'll let Chief Hunley present, well, yeah, you want to continue on your presentation. I'm happy to let you go with us and then.
Basically, I was also at, to prove validity of our concerns, just recently we had a large drug bust at our next door hotel. And to our observation also, we have numerous calls of enforcement. I don't know if they are renewals or what the deal is, but before the advertisement of us presenting the crime-free zone, it kind of deadened, but weekly, 2 and 3 times a week, law enforcement or ambulance or fire trucks are usually always there. And please note that we have some work to do, but also know that great things don't get done without sacrifice or without great resolve. This is a successful nationwide plan. And in the individual packets that I gave you guys, there were testimonies as well as contact and phone numbers from police departments, sergeants, sheriffs, volunteers, housing. I mean, everybody from Missouri to Kansas City to New York has been involved in this. This is not uncommon, and the reduction in crime was dramatic. So it is our goal that we begin the fight for our city and unite law enforcement with the property owners so that they can initiate better communities for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I hate to, well, thanks, first of all, for having us up. Hate to bore y'all with statistics and everything, but I just want to make sure we know exactly what we're dealing with here. And I'm just going to name names. These are public records. America's Best Value Hotel at 3755 Northeast Loop. From January 1, y'all have some stuff in the packet that had them to like May, I think, as far as calls for service. And this is only police calls for service. And it was like 46, 47 or something like that. I read them this morning just to see through September 9th. And America's Best Values had 103 calls for service. Now, one of the reasons why that calls for service is a little bit elevated in the last 3 or 4 months is that we focus some of our patrols on that parking lot, and so every time they go through there, they do what's called a security check, and so that kind of helps inflate those call numbers. But the reason why I'm calling out America's Best Value is I'm also going to call out the other person, Paris Inn and Suites at 3075 Northeast Loop. America's Best Value, 103 calls for service. Paris Inn and Suites, 5. Okay, so that's the gamut between really, really bad and not so bad. And I averaged them at about 30 calls through the 9 months would be the average. And so you can see that some of them are about where they're supposed to be and some of them are very high. Miss Easton, Miss Harris, Chief Vogel, and I sat down to discuss the Grand Prairie ordinance. And we have some concerns about some of the Fair Housing Act implications. And there's some things in the Grand Prairie ordinance I'm really impressed with. And actually, I'm not just stopping now. We're going to ask you for a little bit more direction as to what you really want for us to come through. One of the things that we did like about the Grand Prairie ordinance is it's got a formula where you plug in how many rooms they have available versus how many calls for service. And there's a threshold there that brings on higher scrutiny. Because I don't want to be going to Paris Inn and Suites, who's had 5 calls in the last 9 months, and inspecting them or getting on them or anything like that when somebody else has had 103 or 83 or 70 some odd.
Is that the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 you're talking about?
That's kind of similar to what they're talking about, yes, sir. And so what we'd like to come back with is, number one, we want, when you talk about federal housing and apartments and everything, there's some Fair Housing Acts involved. There's some, we feel like there could be some legal challenges on things like that. But as far as hotels, that's probably a lot more doable, because exactly what Dan mentioned about the cash only and how people will rent out motel rooms to set up a 2 or 3 day drug trade post and be gone. So I really like the ratio deal, because that would be more fair. If I'm operating a place that's got 20 rooms, it's going to be kind of hard to compare them to somebody that's running 110. And so we're still working on that aspect of it.
Okay, Chief, could you summarize some of the, I've tried to read most of this, and it seems to be broken up into, first, there's something that I have no problem with whatsoever. The definitions here on, basically, there's a whole bunch of things to make it more difficult to commit a crime, i.e. Thickness of the door, security of the deadbolts and things like that,
Lighting,
which do
right.
seem very reasonable. Lighting, this whole section on not having dark places and not having tall shrubbery and things like that.
And even to that point, when you got down, I believe it's tier 3, that if they get to that level, they have to have security on site,
Yeah.
that type thing.
And so I certainly have no problem with that. It does get pretty onerous here and very expensive, it looks like. I mean, I'm seeing some of these things per, when you hit tier 3, you may have to have 100% of your units inspected, and it may be quarterly, and it may well cost you inspection fee per unit $75. This is going to shut some people down. Maybe that's where we're going with this, but I think by passing it in its current form, there are going to be places just cease to exist.
Mayor, I'm going to have to just throw this out there for what it's worth. The current form of that ordinance, Grand Prairie ordinance, is not for us. I just don't think it is.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. I think
Because
it
there's
is.
some things I like about this, but I think it's more appropriate for a large area. But there's going to be a lot of hotels and even apartment complexes that literally won't keep their doors open as a result of this passing. Look, that was my reading of it. I don't know. What parts of this would you see that that you would like to see enforced?
Well, some of the exterior lighting, dark areas, that's just basic crime prevention. That's not a problem. I don't know, the fire department already does smoke detectors and that type of thing. So I think what I would like to see is that there's a threshold that we set by ordinance, that if you get X amount, fire, police, EMS, or whatever, if you get to that point, then you trigger those inspections quarterly. And I think it would be incumbent on the police department to run those. We do a report quarterly for the last rolling 12 months. And then at the next quarter, you take the last 12 rolling months, so that you're not just trying to hit somebody during the wintertime or hit them just during the summertime when activities are going to be up or down.
Yeah.
And again, I still really big on this deal about this ratio being very important for somebody that's running a smaller location versus a larger location, because those numbers are going to start moving around.
I've said enough. Anybody have any questions for Chief about this or any discussion?
Where's the breakdown? I mean, so we're looking at an ordinance to basically, if there's repeat offenders, they're gonna be asked to leave the facility, is that correct? Or the
Well,
area, the zone?
The onus on the ordinance is directed at the owner-operator. And of course, if I'm an owner-operator, what am I gonna do? If I'm having problems, I'm gonna kick people out. When I kick people out, if it's not done legally and correctly, they're gonna invite some lawsuits that could eventually come back on the city for us, the ones that's got that ordinance. And that's the part we're kind of concerned about, making sure we're careful. I know that it works in other places, and I'm not doubting any of that part at all, but I'm sure they've got something in place that helps protect them from lawsuits. But in answer to your question, if I'm running a motel and I'm running 80 and 90 calls for service in 9 months, and the city comes, knocks on the door and says, hey, this is too much, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get rid of your problems. And that's kind of what we want them to do anyway, as long as it's legal.
Right.
So you might envision this not even applying to hotels unless they hit a certain threshold, because of the way it's written here, it's mandatory inspection every year with a certain or sliding percentage. And, but yeah, you would be looking at modifying that?
Yes, sir. I think it'd be tremendously more fair to the owner-operators that if I'm running a good operation and I'm taking care of my business in the first place, then why do I need to go do all this extra stuff?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would agree with that as well. Now, this applies to not only hotels, but according to this, it would be apartments, any dwelling with 5 or more
Yeah.
families in it.
I'm not real crazy about apartments.
Because that's what's
Okay.
in the Grand Prairie ordinance as
Right.
well. And there's a lot of apartment complexes that this could fall to.
There is, and I know I ran Evening Shade, just one that popped in my head right quick when I sat in front of the computer and ran Evening Shade, which is about 35, maybe 40 units, and they had 23 calls for service.
Okay.
So, and again, what we do have really good about any of the Section 8 or federal programs or something is exactly what Ms. Nicholson talked about. If you start messing up, you're getting arrested or anything like that, they'll put you on the road. But that's written into their benefits and their lease, and it's a lot more protected than the city ordinance.
Nothing I saw in this was background checks and the police assisting the hotels with, it's in there, encouraging them to do it and assisting them with background checks for their proposed tenants. Is that something we're considering?
I'm not in favor of that because, number one, as far as the state and national crime information center, I can't run somebody unless they're a criminal justice applicant or they're in investigation. Mm-hmm. And so to do that, now we do criminal records checks for locally here inside the city, which check the police department's deal, database. And so we do that, but even at that, you're going to be surprised hearing this from a conservative police chief. Somebody's been in trouble deserves a chance.
Yeah, that was exactly my point, was
Okay.
You're going to deny housing to someone because he has a criminal record. Might be appropriate in some instances, but it could also deny someone the right to live in this city.
I think you have a lot of people that some of these locations that they're living in where we're having the issues, that's kind of like the last choice they have.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead.
Well, I like some of the things that are in it, but I think there's just a lot of overreach comparing Paris to Grand Prairie, particularly the sections where you're inspecting whether the mattress sags or not, and linens.
Should
It
have kept
sounds
them on
like
there.
Sounds like we would have to add a lot of staff.
I'm going to be very frank and honest with you, and don't mean to be talking for building inspections or anybody else, because I don't know nothing about that, okay? But just looking at the list of everything that they have in there, there's no way in the world we have enough staff for that.
Yeah.
And one other thing I'll tell you about Grand Prairie, bless their hearts, is I called them and said, can somebody talk to me about this ordinance? And after I got passed around about 3 or 4 different places, I'm not even going to come up and tell you, but I was not impressed. Okay.
it does look like an enormous overreach, but I'm in agreement with some of the ideas in it. And I think, I mean, what I would recommend, and we'll ask the council to, look at the stuff that makes the most sense, that you believe will help reduce crime the most, is least likely to get us involved with a lawsuit, that's least likely to deny someone his right to reside here. And also try not to punish the people that we have no problems with. So the mandatory every year, maybe set the threshold and give the owners an incentive to keep the crime out. I think that's the whole idea behind this thing. But I think if y'all, I mean, I would be in favor of that aspects of it, without all the nitpicky things that even you and I think both agree would be inappropriate, highly inappropriate for Paris.
3-inch screws in a door jamb to hold a deadbolt lock is important, but I don't think any of our guys are going out there and unscrew a deal to make sure it's 3 inches long. I mean, seriously.
Well, and the requirement for solid doors,
Yeah.
for an exterior door, it looks like that part of it where you're lighting and making it more difficult to break in, all those things are not unreasonable. So anyway, what's the council's opinion on this?
Looking at the inspections thing is pretty crazy on some of this stuff, but they have a tier 1, 2, and 3, and there's 26-year-old plus properties, and they're at the tier 3. I guess that'd be the most troublesome. They're at 100% inspection, and then all the way down to the 26-plus-year-old properties in the tier 1 are at 40%. That seems pretty hardcore to get anything. I'm in agreement with, we need to pull some pieces out of this thing, I think, to make it work for y'all. But, inspecting every property every year, that's a little bit.
Substantial expense.
Yeah.
And council, I would suggest that you start with hotels and motels. You run a lot less chance of fair housing claims if you're not talking about somebody's permanent abode, which for many people is an apartment. I would start there.
That sounds good with me, if that's good with everybody else.
That's a place to start.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many other council members get called from people who rent property and the kids are running crazy while the moms and dads are out working and, shooting fireworks outside of the season and in the city limits and people playing loud music. And I mean, I get calls from constituents who work for a living every day, and all night long, the kids are just allowed to party in the street and keep everybody awake. And I mean, there's nothing anybody can do about it. Their right to do that overrides the taxpayer that works and, supports themselves. And, it's crazy. If this is a step towards trying to help, some of that, and, I'm all for it. Starting the motels, sure, but I'd like to eventually see it go other areas where.
Does look like it's focused though on the criminal activity that goes on at certain motels. I'm sure that's basically what we're aiming at here.
Exactly, and like
So-
I said, that's a great place to start.
Okay.
I'd
So
like
you
to
want-
see
you
it
want more.
extended at some point, but, we can start with the motels.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so we got a consensus at least that we'd like to look forward to this in a somewhat more limited fashion, only motels, hotels, and the less onerous things and the things that, in your opinion, would have the most effect and would be those are the things we're looking for. So bring it back to something that's quite a bit smaller, and we'll discuss it.
Is there a group, is your group working with the police department on this?
I gave him a copy of the ordinance that was targeting the issue.
Step up to the microphone so we can hear you on the recording too.
I gave Chief Hunley and you guys everything
Right.
that I had found, just because we had an employee that was, we had seen a resident from the America's Best Value the day before. I happened to see this guy come across the parking lot, which is normal too. But as she was pulling into the front door, he took a fast direction toward her. We keep our doors locked because of this situation. I ran around to the front door, tried to get her in, and she's trying to get in, and she has her face like this. And as she came in, she said that there were two men under the Portico hollering for him, so he decided to go on. Long story short, we gave Chief Hunley, the crime is what we're interested in. The door jams, the lighting, and the costs, we don't want that to be a burden to anybody else. But we dang sure feel like it's our right to be able to be in the community and not have to worry about being harmed. And if we can, the involvement really in the success stories, I'm sure Chief Hunley will tell you, whenever you get your property owners involved, like in the hotels, you'll see them participate more in if they know that they have to. If they don't have to and they can take drug money all day long, they're going to. And they're going to hurt our children, they're going to hurt our relatives, they're going to hurt people we know by allowing that to happen. That's my deal. I could care less about the red tape. Let's just take care of the crime.
So do you think this is a good place to start with motels?
I don't know much about the apartments. I don't know about that crime rate, but I do know what I see. And I know that our extended stays, I know I mentioned on one of my social media sites, there was a death at an extended stay. A police officer shot a extended stay residence. Next time, that could very well be somebody in blue. We need to get a curve on it. So that's my answer. I know that the hotels and the extended stays seem to be getting bad. I know that the Holiday Inn or the past Holiday Inn is now another extended stay. And when I said that there was a woman outside on the curb on the property, that was at America's Air Conditioning. That was right across the street. It's getting bad over there too. When people think they can go and they can sell drugs and they can use drugs and they're not going to be questioned, they're not going to have ID, and they're not going to have a credit card, they are going to go to those facilities. And those are very desirable by drug users and sellers and criminals. That's just my opinion. So yes, hotels, extended stays are number one on my list.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions for Chief?
One thing in the Grand Prairie ordinance I did like is that the hotel owners were required to attend a training class with the police department on making sure they knew exactly what we were talking about so that we got that voluntary compliance from the get-go, or try to get it.
Okay.
All right, thank y'all.
All right, thank you. Item number 11, discuss the status of the private sale of the Belford Apartments and possible action regarding placing it back up for the sheriff's auction. Where do you want to go with this one?
Well, we had it up for sale at the sheriff's auction. If I remember correctly, nobody bid on it. And so there was a private individual that contacted the owner and was supposedly buying it. But I don't see any change on the tax appraiser that's actually gone through. The place is a mess. It's gotten even more overgrown. The boards that were up to stabilize have been busted down. The doors are open. I mean, it's really bad. So I just figured that I would ask the council if we could figure out something to do about that that property. Maybe put it back up for auction.
Yeah, again, my personal opinion, one of two things needs to happen. It either needs to be cleaned up and stabilized, or it needs to be torn down. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
But it's been dragging along for decades now, and so I'm in agreement. We kind of held onto the pipe dream, maybe that it might be going to be salvageable, but maybe that's not going to be possible, or maybe it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Was it ever looked at to see what the cost of demolition on that property was? Was there ever a number?
Do you know? I don't know precisely, but the numbers that I've always heard were from $250,000 to $400,000 to demolish. The purported private sale of the property, the seller at one point says, well, I take it back, I'm not going to sell it. The buyer says, no, I'm not letting you out of the contract, but the sticking point for him is that all the civil penalties be released and the judgment lien be released at closing, which doesn't give us any leverage to get what needs to be done to that property. And as y'all are aware, you passed a resolution in March that said, you know, the penalties will be released upon either demolition or
Cleaning up of the lot.
or rehabilitation of the property.
Could the new owner be required to put some money in escrow in exchange for enough money that would cover the cost of demolition, perhaps, in order to facilitate sale? Obviously, no one can buy that property with a $2 million worth of liens on it if he doesn't know that $2 million is going to be forgiven. I wouldn't buy it either. But could there be some sort of a deal worked out where, okay, this will be forgiven, but we've got so much of your money in escrow, and if you don't do X, Y, and Z about a certain time period, we'll get your money, and then I don't know, can we work
I
something
think
like that out?
legally that is possible. Practically, I don't think that will happen.
Okay.
So that's exactly what I would say. If we're gonna, the individual that we've seen come across that was trying to purchase already owns a couple buildings downtown that has multiple litigations against him, I think, with the city. Is that correct?
We have some civil penalties that are accruing on some of these buildings, yes.
And how old are they?
Ooh, they're going to go back about a year to 18 months.
Yeah, I have a hard time with giving, or pulling out the stops for somebody that has civil penalties going back over 12 months in the city, and not having some kind of skin in the game. And like the mayor said, I mean, in the real estate game, if you're going to buy something or do something and you get a carrot, you usually have to have a little skin in the game. And whether that's $150,000 or $200,000 that we had in escrow, and we can do that, we can say, yeah, but we know we have $200,000 and you've got 12 to 18 months to either, and in my opinion, the structurally completing that property is going to be tough. I may be wrong, but for somebody to go in and spend the money, I'm all about it, but let's have some kind of skin in the game.
Mr. Pilgrim, going with having skin in the game, there are unpaid property taxes going back to when those other buildings were acquired. So if you're talking about wanting a buyer to have skin in the game, that's something to consider.
Say it again.
This particular buyer has not paid any property taxes since he's acquired these various buildings.
So not only that, we have no property. He hasn't been paying property taxes.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I have a hard time with that.
Well, I'm not talking about making this
No,
guy
no,
buy
I-
it. I'm saying
No,
somebody.
I think, but you gotta look at, if there's somebody that's wanting to acquire it, I mean, we're all about it, but we gotta have somebody, and we don't wanna sheriff sell it to someone that already has a bunch of, issues.
That
with-
are not going
you know
to
what I
do
mean?
anything with it. We've
Well-
got to have somebody that's going to do something with it, be it tear it down or clean it up.
Right. I mean, what the control you have is what you did with that resolution in March. I can't control who buys it at a sheriff's sale. I mean, the best we could have done is a minimum bid to try to put off some people who might have no intentions for the property. As we all know, at the minimum bid of $50,000, it did not sell. But the best carrot and stick that we have is that judgment lien, and the resolution you passed talked about what a purchaser has to do in order to get those forgiven.
Right.
What was the minimum last time? 50,000?
$50,000.
Well, do you think if we lowered the minimum bid, it might knock out some folks that would just buy the property and not do anything with it? Or, and entice somebody else to maybe buy it and do something with it? Clean
You know,
it?
I
mean-
thought somebody would buy it for $50,000, so what do I know? Mr. Pilgrim is a real estate person, maybe he has more insight into that than I do. I quit predicting.
I mean, if we lowered the price,
It's a tough sale. I mean, just think about you're buying was it a quarter acre basically that's there, more or less?
More or less, I think.
So you're buying a quarter acre lot in downtown Paris, and then you're gonna have to go and spend $250,000 to $400,000 on it. Then you'll have an open lot, and then you got to go back in and you're gonna look at whether you're gonna make it a parking lot or if you're gonna build an existing or another building there. And you know, and if you could fix the building that's there in the facade and maybe the structure side, I just don't see it. But if you could, and you spend $250,000, $300,000, then you'll have the makings of a building, but then you're going to spend
Millions.
I mean, it could be in the millions on just HVAC work, you know, to get the thing habitable for whether that would be business. And it's just,
I mean, the other alternative you have, and it's not palatable at all, is we have a valid demolition order on that. The city would have to go in and demolish it. We have the right to do so and place a lien on the property. But, I mean, that's a lot of money, and we're talking about taking that much out of the budget now. So that is a question of whether you want to dig deep and find the money to tear it down ourselves so that that danger and eyesore is not there anymore. But those are your options to try to sell it again at a sheriff's sale or tear it down.
can we do a sheriff's sale with no posted reserve and just take all the offers that we can get, compile them, and vote on them as a council?
Well, it's an auction. So we could do it with no minimum bid, but it's going to go as an auction.
You can't do a sealed bid?
No.
Are there any provisos, though, to the winning bidder, what they're required to do in order to get the $2 million removed?
Well, that's what y'all did in
So-
March.
So we can do that again. So what?
I mean, that's still a resolution that is
And the
in good
resolution
standing.
required what exactly to fulfill, if you'll read it to us, because
I
it's
would
been
be
a long,
happy to.
or summarize it.
Yeah. Let's see, as a condition of the release of the judgment within 6 months of purchase, the purchaser of Belford shall clean up the grounds, the lot. In 18 months, shall either demolish said building and clean the lot upon it, which it currently stands to meet all city Paris code requirements, or if the purchaser intends to rehabilitate the building, shall stabilize the facade such that the city of Paris code inspectors deem the structure not to be a danger to the public, and then complete rehabilitation if that's what they want to do within 5 years of the sale. And you also threw in a $50,000 incentive.
Yeah.
If
In case they do
if all
that.
that happens. So it would be the forgiveness of the judgment as well as $50,000 if somebody
them
actually
purchase price back
rehabilitated
to
the
them,
building.
too. Yeah.
I'd be for going ahead and putting it in the sheriff's sale again and lowering it maybe to 20,000.
Yeah.
And I don't think zero is going to work, because we could get somebody bidding on it that'll sit on it for 18 months and then we get it back again. I'd like to get this dealt with. I mean, nobody's dealt with this for how many years? It's time.
Yep.
Take what we can get.
Is the consensus to put it back in a sheriff's sale at $20,000 minimum bid?
Sounds good to me.
What do you think, Linda?
I think that would be good. I want
with
to see
it.
something done with it.
Yeah, one way or the
Once
other.
and for all, and, you know, if it
And let's have that also too, that, where if it doesn't sell, we get it on the next agenda meeting and try to get it, we need to lower it again. I mean, I don't
Okay.
know.
It is probably going to be, I'll have to check my calendar because of the 3 weeks before the sale. I may not be able to get it on October. It may be November before I can get it on the sheriff's sale. You got to do all these publications. So just know it may be November. I'll look at my calendar in the morning.
And there's no way that we can get rid of it with the sealed bid? I mean, it has to be sold at the,
Because the right that we have to force it to sale is through a judgment lien
okay.
based on the lawsuit that we foreclosed on the
Okay.
civil penalties. That's the way you have
So
to
it
do that.
has to do it. Okay, that way,
Because
okay.
we don't own the building, so we can't take sealed bids.
But it can still be sold in a private sale before that time, correct? But it would still carry the 2
It
million
would
penalties.
still be subject to the penalties.
And once again, if a deal were worked out with someone that wanted to save the building, that was willing to put some money in escrow to guarantee it, I'd personally be willing to, there's no way anyone could buy that unless you were going to
Well, I would
forgive the 2
certainly
million.
bring that to council for your consideration.
So, yeah,
If
so, I
if
mean-
I were approached with such a thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, otherwise, the clock ticks and it goes to the sheriff's sale.
Yeah, right.
We good with that?
I am.
So get on it.
No motion needed on this, I guess?
No, sir.
Nope. Item number 12, discuss and act on a reappointment of Judge Hunt to serve as municipal court judge and Judge Beard to serve as associate municipal court judge.
Want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. We had initially done Judge Hunt's evaluation in May and wanted to look at just a few changes in way code enforcement ran through the court system. We kind of got wrapped up in other issues, so it's up to the council. Do we want to go back through the evaluation again or go on with the appointment tonight?
I can go ahead and reappoint tonight if everybody else is prepared.
Yeah, I think I could too. Ideally, it would have been better to have gone over, but there were a lot of things going on. I think, but I'd be all right with going ahead with the reappointment tonight. Okay. All right, well, let's see.
I move to reappoint Judge
Motion.
Hunt and Judge Beard as associate.
Got a second? All in favor? Okay, got it. All right. Number 13, discuss and act on an ordinance approving a negotiated settlement between the Atmos City Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corp. Midtex Division regarding the company's 2019 rate review mechanism filing, declaring existing rates to be unreasonable, adopting tariffs that reflect rate adjustments consistent with the negotiated settlement, finding the rates to be set by the settlement tariffs to be just and reasonable and in the public interest. You want to tell us about this one, Gene?
Back at the 1st of April, Atmos filed for a rate increase, and as we always do, the Atmos City Steering Committee, of which Paris is a member, reviewed that rate increase, and in the process of negotiation, were able to lower their rate request by almost $4 million. And so we're presenting an ordinance tonight that would approve a rate increase at that negotiated reduction, and the staff recommends that it be approved.
You have any discussion on this? So you say it's a reduction, but actually it's an increase, right?
Well, it's a reduction of what they wanted, but it's an increase over what they're getting.
Yeah, make
now.
sure everybody
Yeah.
understands that. But we don't have much choice in this, I don't think. It's been negotiated, but y'all have any comments or discussion? All right, I'll make a motion. We approve this ordinance and related attachments, granting Atmos an increase in system revenues.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Okay, next, discuss and act on an ordinance authorizing issuance of a solid waste collection permit to Sanitation Solutions.
Mayor, we have 3 of these. There are 3 of our 4 companies that come every year. They've all abided by what they're supposed to by paying their fees, and they have their insurance in check.
Okay. And the recommendation is to approve this,
Yes, sir.
correct? Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion on this one, too.
So moved.
All in favor? Yep, good. And finally, number 17, I'm sorry, there was 16. Did I skip one?
There's 3 of them.
Oh, there were, yeah, 4, okay. 15, yeah, I'm sorry, 15, discuss and act on an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a solid waste collection permit to County Waste Collection LLC, DBA Trashy Business. And I'll make a motion, we accept that one.
Second.
All in favor? And then 16, discuss and act on an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a solid waste collection permit to Raymond Tabor, DBA Waste Connection of Northeast Texas. Billy makes a motion for that one. I'll second, and all in favor. There. I didn't skip anything, did I? Okay, we're good. Future events. One thing I'll mention, I think the council needs to be thinking about criteria for city manager. We'll have to discuss this later, but things that are important for Paris, what we're looking for. And we need to give some serious thought to this and a ranking system for how we're going to evaluate the candidates. So I just encourage the council to be thinking about that. All right. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Let's do it.